If you are here to join the tour, please follow me this way. Welcome to St. George Spirits, guys.
St. George Spirits is a raw space, all steel beams and gleaming copper pots. This artisan distillery sits at the tip of Alameda Point on the east side of San Francisco Bay. It's in a former World War II airplane hangar, but instead of building planes, they're trying to bottle memories.
Distillation is a way of recording smells. It's being able to take snapshots of an olfactory image.
Lance Winters is the master distiller. He's been working here for 16 years.
If you go back to the earliest days of distillation, alchemists, distillers, perfume makers, and physicians were all basically the same person. Certain smells were thought to either attract different things to you or drive evil things away, and the distillers were responsible for distilling to capture those aromatics. We really want to bring it back to that place where we're being evocative, we're creating perfume that you love to drink.
It smells really, really good in here. It smells like hot apple cider.
You've got a great nose. In the still I have cinnamon, almonds, raisins, cloves, cardamom, I think that's it, and high proof alcohol. And I'm going to be distilling out this spice blend to see how it turns out.
There are many different kinds of alcohol: isopropyl alcohol, wood alcohol, methanol. But the only kind used to make alcoholic beverages is ethanol. The process starts with fermentation. You take yeast and some form of sugar or starch and water, put it in an airless container, and you get ethanol. Non-distilled drinks like beer and wine top out around 15% ethanol. After that, the alcohol kills the yeast and stops the fermentation process. Distilled drinks, on the other hand, can reach up to 95% ethanol, packing a stronger punch in less liquid. So, if you want a beverage that'll put a little heat in your belly, you have to bust out the heavy machinery.
We need to separate the ethanol from all of the other stuff, including the yeast and whatever else you started with. And to separate the ethanol from all of that, you need to distill it.
That's Julie Yu, a staff scientist at San Francisco's Exploratorium. She agreed to do a live distillation so I could see for myself how distilled spirits are made.
I'm going to take the 15% ethanol solution.
That's the standard amount used to start making most distilled spirits.
And get it to a rapid boil. I have an aluminum tray, and I've put a bunch of ice in it. And I'm just going to hold the tray above this beaker and see what happens.
As the liquid boils, its components vaporize at different rates. The ethanol boils first, at the lowest temperature, which allows distillers to capture it as it vaporizes.
Now the vapor that's coming off isn't pure alcohol, but it's higher percentage of alcohol than the percentage in the liquid form. And so if there's a way to collect this vapor and then recondense it back into a liquid, we'll end up with a solution that has a higher percentage of alcohol.
Lucky for us, Yu does have a way to collect the alcohol vapor. She puts the tray aside and instead plugs the container of boiling 15% ethanol with a stopper connected to a tube. The alcohol vapors collect inside the tube. Just like we saw on the cold ice tray, as the vapors cool, they recondense back into liquid, which drips down into a beaker positioned at the other end of the tube.
And the liquid that I've now distilled is a higher percentage of ethanol, and that can be repeated to get as high of an ethanol concentration, up to 95%.
Everclear, a brand of grain alcohol, can be 95% alcohol, but it's only available in some states. Beer weighs in at 4 to 6% alcohol, wine up to 15%, and then distilled beverages, which range from about 20 to 80%. Back at the distillery, they're doing exactly what Julie Yu demonstrated, with fancier equipment. Tour guide Paul Martin is showing off the tools of the trade.
This is a pot and column hybrid still. Okay? They're very Willy Wonka-esque. I like to tell my friends and family I get to work at a place where they make adult fizzy lifting drink. kind of cool, right?
Instead of Julie Yu's hot plates, There are gleaming copper tanks for fermenting and heating. Onion-shaped domes atop the tanks collect the ethanol steam. And in place of the cold ice trays, bassoon-like columns collect and cool those vapors down. The condensate is then sent through a series of snaking pipes, tubes, and hoses to be either collected or discarded. The whole system looks like an orchestra of giant musical instruments designed by Dr. Seuss.
Once it's in here, this is kind of where the real magic of distillation happens. Each one of these portholes, these are sectional, guys. They all have a plate that runs from...
Martin shows us the purification and bottling stations, the wooden casks for aging whiskey, and the baskets of herbs the distillery uses to make absinthe, a spirit containing wormwood, once thought to cause madness.
All right, guys. You guys have done the educate. Let's go do the inebriate. Thank you guys very much for coming out on the tour. Thank you.
We head to the tasting room, which has the same concrete floor and exposed metal beams as the adjacent distillery, with the addition of a shiny steel bar.
Just get you started. This is our pear eau de vie.
Okay. We work our way through the Mount Tam Terroir Gin, the Hangar One vodka, a couple of whiskeys, and a coffee liqueur, until we finally get to the Absinthe Vert, which St. George is topping off with root beer today.
Wow, this is really good. You guys have to try this.
Different spirits require different processes for flavoring. Barrel aging for whiskeys, bourbons, and ryes, infusion for flavored vodkas, and vapor infusion for botanical gins. After that, spirits can be shaken, stirred, swizzled, and fizzed into fantastic concoctions, or sipped on the rocks. But no matter how different your spirits may look in a drink, they all had to go through distillation to transform into the contents of your cocktail. I'm Catherine Girardeau.